Yo, what's up guys? Main here with a video. So we're finally at the yearly open and we're at the area, in my opinion, which I believe is basically like the last stand for the bulls here. I've talked about this in my Twitter stream last week, multiple videos here, that this yearly open, this general area around here is where we could find the bottom. So I'm gonna explain to you why I still believe that this is the area where you want to be at least focusing on a bounce. Whether that bounce goes to new all-time highs or not, TBD. But we're closer to a bottom, I think, than some people may realize. And I don't think there's good risk reward to be bearish and shorting down here. I think at the very least we're due for a pretty strong bounce, maybe to new all-time highs, but we'll cover that in a minute, okay? What I want to update you on is the weekly closure, okay? So we had that bearish weekly closure, and I've said this over and over and over again. If we get multiple weekly closes below 98K, there's a good chance that I'm wrong about there being a new all-time high coming still, okay? And I'll live with that result, of course. So we got that weekly closure below 98K. Now, the reason I said multiple is because occasionally you can get faked out, like something like we had back here, if you remember. And we might, and I'll break this example down here in a sec, but we might have a chance to get a reclaim and then actually still go up to all-time highs. But because we got that weekly market structure break here, I think the likelihood of us bouncing to new all-time highs is reduced. Okay, I'm being very clear about that. I still think we're close to a low. I still think we're due for a significant bounce, but the likelihood of that bounce going to all-time high, I think, is reduced, and I have to adjust my plan a little bit because I have to stick to my system, else the system is useless, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna break the chart down from the monthly, and then we're gonna go all the way down. We'll actually start even higher. We'll go all the way to the yearly, and then we'll break this all the way down to the lower time frames, and I'll kind of just explain to you guys what I'm seeing here, okay? So we'll start at the monthly time frame here, or the yearly time frame, excuse me. So far, the yearly candle's pretty ugly, right? Like if you look at this on the yearly here, right? In the past, this is a pretty unique looking yearly candle. Usually we get kind of our big moves up, down, we get our 3 up, we get our 1 down. And if this is all of a sudden bucking that trend of the 3 up, 1 down, I don't know, too early to tell. There's still a lot of time left in the yearly, right? There's still a month and a half. This can change. This can very well close as a green candle, okay? So the yearly looks like this, obviously still very much bullish, okay? And if the top is in, right? If the top is in on the yearly, the most obvious level to want to rebuy Bitcoin based on the yearly chart is right there. Back into that yearly order block around 50K. So if the top's in, whether it's here or higher, this is where you want to buy Bitcoin for the next cycle, in my opinion, right? That would be about a 60% pullback if the all-time high is already in. I think that's pretty good price, all things considered. You ask me if that works, well, go look at where the last bear market bottomed, okay? Right at that yearly order block, so it would just be rinsing, repeat, that same zone here, okay? Now we're gonna go down to the 3-month. The 3-month is still bullish, right? We have higher highs, higher lows. And we're coming into the quarterly, okay, order block here. We're at the quarterly order block here. This is your yearly open. At the top of this order block here, this is a quarterly bullish order block, but it's a very big level. And as you can imagine, the invalidation here is the same as the monthly, right, which is that 74K level, right? So we came down to the quarterly order block there. That was your bottom. We're now at the quarterly order block again. Maybe this is your next bottom. I don't know yet. It's still too early to tell. Monthly, still also bullish, okay? Higher highs, higher lows. Coming into that monthly order block right now. Again, monthly invalidation is at 74K. All right? And just to be very clear, this pullback, as gnarly as it is not atypical for what we've had in this run here, right? This was 30%, this one, 30%, and now I think we're just over 28%, 27%. So still not even quite at 30%. So again, this is not atypical by any means for a pullback in this cycle. Now, the weekly, depending how you view weekly market structure, arguably has made a bearish structure break by losing the 98K level. Weekly sweep, we had that internal range break there, right? And now we've had this major range break. There's your weekly high and low there. So that to me is a critical level there at 98K that the bulls need to reclaim if this is going to start looking good again. For now, looking pretty grim, looking pretty ugly, all right? That being said, I want to just highlight here the last few corrections on Bitcoin. If you take your fib tool from the low to the high, put on your golden pocket, okay? We bottomed right in the golden pocket there, the 70.5. From the low to the high. Sorry. Okay, from the swing low there. So I'm just taking the very last weekly swing low, all the way, I'll put the 100 on here so it's easier to see. Come on, you fucker. Regular fib, white. There you go, okay? So from the low to the high, we came right to the golden pocket, okay? Same thing here. From the low right here, this is your weekly swing low, to your high. We bottomed right in the golden pocket there, okay? And from the low to the high, we are now approaching that same zone right into the OTE, the golden pocket, the sweet spot here. So again, this is no different than me just showing you this, right? Similar kind of concept here. We're well within the bounds of a typical pullback for the high time frame here. Now, is it very scary? Yes. Have we lost the 50 weekly MA? Yes, but my problem with using things like the 50 weekly MA, right? Oh my God, it held here, held here, held here. There's instances, right, where this thing will be lost and then reclaim. Here's a perfect example, right? So if you go look at the NQ, well, it's held the weekly 50 MA, held it, oh, deviated below, reclaimed. Deviated below, reclaimed. Oh yeah, okay, lost it there. This actually ended up being a bear market. Held, deviated below, reclaimed. It's traded massively higher. You can use this on like Solana as well. You can use this on ETH. Right? ETH, it doesn't even work that well here, okay? My point is yes, this has worked very well for the last while here on Bitcoin, but it's not going to be perfect, right? Like here, for example, we closed below, and then when we reclaimed, we ripped. So what I'm trying to say is, don't use this as the be-all, end-all. Treat this for what it is. It's dynamic support and resistance. So if we roll over here like this, but then reclaim it, that could be actually a bullish sign. Just because we lose it, it doesn't mean we have to go into a bear market. So don't be so absolute in your thinking. This is a dynamic level of support and resistance. And right now, it's been support. Now we're below it. So if we're able to get back above it, I would actually consider that bullish, okay? That being said, it is rolling. And even if we do get back above it, I wouldn't be surprised if then the next test is what fucking nukes us down, okay? So yes, this is scary. We're below the levels. We've had that weekly break, but we're at the area, in my opinion, okay, where I want to be looking for the bulls to step in. And it's that yearly open area here that we've been talking about. We have a little weekly fair value gap right here, but really it's this yearly open level here. I want to see the bulls step in here, and I want to see us put in a low, similar to what we did here. So whether it's a low, lower low, higher low, right, something like that, or it's just a low and then a reclaim of the yearly open. I want to see this type of price action, right, this type of PA occur where we are right now. I want to, or even this, the inverse of what we saw here, right? This is a swing high. I want to see this happen here. Okay, so this is the important area for the bulls, and I do think, for the bulls, we're working on our 4th weekly bearish candle in a row. You don't get 4 weekly bear candles in a row very often. I know it's only Monday, but if you go back in time here, 3 bear candles usually lead to a bounce, at least of some size, outside of the last bear market here, where obviously we had like 8 or 9 in a row. But generally, 1, 2, 3, you get a bounce, right? You get 1, 2, 3 here, you get some sort of a bounce. 1, 2, 3, you get a bounce, we form the bottom. So I definitely think RR-wise, based on this range, which we've been in now forever, it feels like. And if you want to go back and just say, hey, this is actually our trading range, like this entire area here, we're in the discount, in my opinion. And I think it's much higher odds to be looking for signs of bullishness down here than remaining short. I think if you were short up here, this is a pretty good area to cover some. Doesn't mean we can't go lower. Doesn't mean we can't take this out here. I just think that from somewhere around here, maybe a little lower, we're due for a pretty big bounce. That bounce, however, I think has a higher likelihood of being a lower high now based on the weekly structure breaking below that low. We have to stick to the system. We have to deal with the reality of it potentially being over based on that weekly market structure break. And I have to be willing to lose some money trying to short a lower high in order to stick to my system, because if I don't stick to my system, I have nothing, right? I have nothing. So what does that look like? In my opinion, it looks very similar to this, right? So we had that breakdown here. And if you remember, I was on Twitter here. I longed this, okay? Posting about this, but I said, I have to short this based on my system. I have to short this and see if it's a potential bearish retest. It ended up not being. Great, you're bullish again. Well, we can do the exact same thing here. We can look for bulls to step in here. And then on the bounce, I'm going to be looking for reasons to be a bear in this, or reasons to short for a bearish retest. And then obviously, if we're wrong, great. We're going much higher. Fantastic. We're happy. So this is similar, very similar in terms of sentiment and in terms of chart as what we had here, in my opinion, where it said, okay, it broke down. Is it going to bounce to a lower high and then trade even lower? Or is it going to rip through and trade even higher? I think very similar setup here. So we're looking for reasons to be a bull here. We're looking for the bulls to step in. Ultimately, this is the target, 106 up to about 116. I know it's a very big area, but you don't have to use the entire zone, right? We have 106 as a key level. We have 110, which is the yearly open, which is a key level. I think above 110, very high likelihood we make new all-time highs. But for now, the bulls got some work to do. I want to see bullish price action form down here. I want to see us get back above the yearly open after that PA forms. Really what we can look for on the low time frame is like a trend line break here. And what I mean by that is just bullish market structure. But this is sometimes an easy way for people to visualize it, is by using a trend line, right? Because what does a trend line show here? This is just showing lower highs, right? So if we're able to form a low here and then break above this trend line, that's going to tell me, let me just draw this a little better. So we do this. Okay, maybe we take that out, and then we break above this trend line. What am I really showing here? Oh, it's a trend line flip? No, I'm just showing that we've broken structure. We've got a higher high now, and I think this is where you pile into leverage longs if you're worried. Like if you're not trying to knife catch down here, which understandably so, it looks like shit, it's very risky. Wait for some sort of trend line break like this, then you'll have a very strong swing low. If we can get a trend line break, which means a higher high, then we have a solid swing low that we can then frame our longs around. And this is your hard invalidation. If we get back below there, I'm selling everything. Okay? So my game plan, to summarize, okay? Very, very clear here. Looking for the bulls to step in somewhere here and put in a low. I think we're close, okay? I was wrong about timing. I thought it was going to happen at the start of November. I thought we had a chance back here. Not the case. I was wrong. We were open to the idea of the yearly open. We're here now. So I want to see a strong low get formed around here. If and when that strong low forms, I'm going to be looking to potentially long with leverage on a, let me draw this better. On some sort of trend line break, AKA a market structure break, right? MSB. That's where I'd be interested in looking for leverage longs up into the weekly bearish order block, which goes from 106 up to 116. So let's assume we get this break. You could be longing around 95, 96, 97, 98, up to 110. That's a pretty big move that you could catch a leverage trade on. In this weekly bearish order block between 106 and 116, I am going to be looking for reasons to short, and probably, to be honest with you, will de-risk some of my spot regardless, because the weekly structure broke. If we continue higher, great. If we don't, and there are signs to jeet, right? I'll be looking to sell here, and anything that I'm still holding is completely out back below that strong swing low. Okay, I hope that that makes sense. We put in a low, we trade up to here, I'm selling. If we come back down and keep going higher, great. I'll keep participating in longs, but I'm selling, and anything that I haven't sold, if we come back down below here, I'm out, because I think that then we're likely going to 74K and potentially lower. Okay, so maybe the bear market's here, maybe the top is already in, maybe the bears are right. Regardless, I think we are due, based on this literally month and a half straight of selling. We are due for some sort of mean reversion at the very least, and I'm going to use that as an opportunity to take some profits on spot, look to potentially short, and then just be watching and see if the bulls are going to grind through this level, then great. Maybe there is still that outside chance of us making a new all-time high. So I'm not throwing out the new all-time high possibility yet. I still think there is potential based on the stuff I talked about earlier. This is a typical pullback in terms of price. We can reclaim these levels, right? Cycle timing, we still have time, end of December, going into early Jan, to put in a new all-time high. So I still think that it's a possibility based on all those other things I talked about in prior videos, with gold, with equities, okay? I still think there's a chance we can go to new all-time highs. But because we had the weekly structure break, I think the likelihood of it is lower, and I'm gonna have to be more defensive on the bounce. If we would have closed this as an SFP and then the rally would have started from there, I would have liked the odds a lot better. Doesn't mean it's impossible. It literally happened here. We broke below the weekly swing and we just charged right back up through it. This could be very similar, okay? So I'm not throwing out that idea as impossible yet, but the odds have been reduced per my system. Again, that's why I'm able to act with relatively little emotion, regardless of all the stuff going on Twitter and all the people saying, oh my God, everyone hated me for being bearish. No one else is bullish here. I'm the only bull. None of that really matters. You need to have a system that you can apply to the chart, and then you got to trust the system. I told you guys below the weekly close, below 98K, that changes things. I'm explaining how that changes things now, okay? So we're gonna have to wait and see here. I know it sucks. I know you're like me and you keep telling us to wait. This is what I'm doing with my bags, okay? In theory, I could hold spot that I bought, at 30, 40K, all the way down to here, and still technically be bullish, right? Like, that's still technically bullish on the monthly, but I don't really want to do that. So I'm using the weekly. You might not want to do that at all. You might already be sick of this and say, I'm tired of waiting mean. I don't want to hold anymore. I think it's over. This guy called it right and you were wrong, or whatever. This guy said this, you said this. No one is forcing you to stay in your trades or stay in your positions or hold your bags, right? I'm just telling you what I'm doing and the reasons why. You have to make your decisions for your coins, right? It's your money. I still think that there's a good chance that we make a new high. I definitely think there's a very strong chance that a significant low is forming, at least for a bounce, and I would much rather exit on that bounce than here, back above 100K. That's just my preference. That's what I'm gonna do. If you don't wanna do that, don't do it. If you think it's over, short, sell. If you don't think it's over, buy, go long, I don't care. Whatever you do with your money is totally up to you. I'm just letting you guys know what I'm doing with mine, and that's it. All right, guys? So that's all I got for this one. I think it's gonna be a pretty important week. I believe we have NVIDIA earnings as well this week, as well as CPI. Do I even have NVIDIA on here? Yeah, NVIDIA earnings this Wednesday, and I believe we have CPI as well. NVIDIA makes up 25% of the S&P 500. So we're gonna want them to absolutely smash their earnings, right? For this to have another fucking rally and hopefully allow crypto to have that other rally as well. If the earnings come in bad, that would be very bad. But yeah, that's all I got for now, guys. I'm going to remain patient. You guys know the game plan here. Not much has changed. We're near this yearly open level now. Let's see if the bulls can step in here, okay? So I want to see us put in a low, get back above the yearly open, which is around 93K. Another key level to reclaim would be that old weekly low at 98K. Next level above that is 106K. Next level above that is 110K. For all those people who listen to this on the radio, those are the key levels on the upside that we want to see reclaimed in short order. Yearly open, 93K, 98K form a swing low, 100K being a psychological level, sure, but 106K is more important, 110K the monthly level. All right, guys, that's all I got. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments below. As always, all my bullshit's in the description. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out.